I'm a mom, and this story happened a while ago when I was in my late 30s. I have two daughters, Lily and Sarah. They were 14 and 16 years old at the time. We had just won full custody from their dad, who had some problems with drugs and money. To get away from all the problems and start a new life without all the drama, we decided to move to a different state. It was a hot June day, and we packed our things and left home before our big moving truck. We wanted to get settled in our new place before all our stuff arrived, even if we had no furniture at first. Saying goodbye to our old home made us feel really emotional. We planned to stay at a hotel overnight on our trip. My daughters were excited about it, but every hotel was full because of a soccer tournament nearby. We kept driving, hoping to find a place to stay, but it seemed impossible. At a gas station, I saw some guys looking at my daughters in a strange way. It made me uncomfortable, so I quickly got back into the car without finishing pumping gas. We stopped at a rest area later, thinking it was safe because there were other people there. I put blankets on the car windows, and we all fell asleep. Then, a really loud motorcycle noise woke me up. It was those same guys we saw at the gas station, and now there were even more of them, like 25 or 30. I didn't want to frighten my daughters, so I quietly started the car, hoping we could leave without them noticing us. But they spotted us right away. They started chasing us in a scary way, throwing stuff at our car and trying to make us crash. I stayed calm for my daughters, but I was really scared. They shouted at me to stop, but I didn't want to. When they told me to open the window, I hardly said anything to them. We drove for a long time until my oldest daughter called the police, but they were taking too much time to arrive and help us. All of a sudden, something hit our car, and we moved off the road towards a tree. I pressed the brakes really hard, and the car stopped very suddenly. Some people on bikes gathered around us. They were hitting the windows and trying to open the doors. My daughters were crying and asking them to stop, but I couldn't do much to help. Luckily, we heard police sirens, and the people on bikes quickly left. We hugged each other and cried until the police arrived. We told them everything, but they couldn't find the people on bikes. Even now, when I see a bunch of bikers together, it makes me scared. But something unexpected happened. While the police were listening to us and writing down what we said, an older man who was standing close by seemed to know something about what was happening. He looked worried as he quietly went up to one of the police officers and spoke in a low voice. The officer's face changed, and he quickly talked to another officer about it. Later, they talked to me. They said the older man had something important to share. He was in a group of local people who like motorbikes. He said sorry for bothering us and said the bikers who bothered us weren't in their group. He said those bikers were a rebellious gang known for causing problems around here. But then something even more unexpected happened. He knew our car because he saw it at the gas station before. He said those bikers weren't chasing us on purpose. They thought we were someone else. That someone was from a different group that they had problems with, a gang that also used cars like ours. They'd been fighting with each other for a long time. The police listened carefully and said they'd look into it more. They thanked the man and got his contact info for more questions. We felt so relieved. It turned out the scary thing that happened was a big mix-up. The police promised to keep us safe and find the people who caused the confusion. As we left with a police car guiding us, I had lots of feelings. The scared feeling was going away. Instead, I felt a weird mix of relief and surprise because things happened unexpectedly. It made me think that life can surprise us a lot, and things might not always be how they look. On a hot and sticky summer evening in August 2022, Audrey Heron was super happy. She got a raise at her nursing job in a place called Columbia Green, long-term healthcare facility in Catskill, New York. Audrey, who was 31 years old, felt really excited. With this extra money, life would be better for her husband Jeff, and their two kids. Around 11 p.m., Audrey said goodbye to her work friends and left in her old 1994 Jeep Grand Cherokee. The weather was really bad that night with heavy rain and fog making it hard to see the roads. A coworker followed her for a little while, but couldn't keep up because of the rain. Jeff was expecting Audrey to be back by 11 p.m., but when she didn't come, he got worried. He thought maybe she had to work longer than expected and went to bed, hoping she'd come home soon. By 2 a.m., Audrey still wasn't back, and Jeff was really worried. He called the hospital to check if she had left at 11 p.m. as planned, but they had no news of her. Jeff also called Audrey's mom, Shirley, but she didn't know where Audrey was either. When the sun came up, Audrey still hadn't come back. Jeff got really worried and asked Audrey's stepmom, who used to be a police officer, for help. They told the police that Audrey was missing. They called Audrey's friends, and Jeff sent a strange message to Karina, one of Audrey's close friends. Instead of being worried, Jeff seemed sad. The next day, Audrey's friends got together to look for her along the way she usually took home. Then something unexpected happened. Someone said they saw Audrey's car parked near an old barn on a small road on the night she disappeared. This was surprising because everyone thought she was on her way home. People started thinking maybe she took a different route or stopped somewhere suddenly. After they found out about this new information, they looked really hard in the barn and nearby areas. The police found some signs that showed someone had been there recently, like a flashlight that was turning on and off and tire marks from a car. But even though they looked, they couldn't find Audrey or her Jeep. People started talking and saying maybe Audrey had problems at her job, like fights with coworkers. They thought maybe she saw something bad happening at work, and that's why she went missing all of a sudden. For a while, they couldn't make progress with the investigation. It felt like they were stuck. All the clues, they had just disappeared. But then, they found something surprising, a link between where Audrey worked and a group of local criminals. People started talking about how there might be illegal stuff happening at Audrey's workplace without anyone knowing. When they looked more into it, the police found money problems and secret agreements that connected some workers to the criminals. Audrey, who was really good at noticing things, might have accidentally found out about these strange things happening, which could have been dangerous for the criminals. After looking into things more, they found out Audrey had told a good friend that she was worried about some strange stuff happening at her job. She was thinking about telling her bosses about it. It seemed like Audrey going missing might have something to do with these secret things at work. Even though they looked really hard and asked lots of questions, they couldn't find much proof. The bad group she was dealing with kept everything super secret, making it really tough to investigate. People guessed that Audrey might be in danger because her disappearing matched up with finding out about these hidden things at her job. The situation changed unexpectedly when someone who didn't want to be known gave mysterious clues. These clues led the police to a hidden farmhouse outside the town. They thought it might be a secret place where a group of criminals were doing bad things. The police quickly got ready and went to the farmhouse to search it. They felt really nervous as they looked everywhere, finding papers and proof that showed the people there were involved in illegal stuff. But they couldn't find Audrey or her Jeep anywhere. During the raid's mess, they found a small clue, a piece of paper hidden in the farmhouse. It had a strange message hinting at where Audrey might be, but it was hard to understand. Even though they found this clue, they still didn't know what happened to Audrey. There were lies and illegal things that made it hard to find out what really happened to her. The case had lots of surprises and unclear truths, making everyone who knew Audrey feel sad and confused. Before I continue to the next story, if you are interested in earning from YouTube without showing your face, or without making videos by yourself using artificial intelligence, like the video that you are watching right now, then I have a special free training for you. Check the first link in the description below to get instant access. I used to drive a lot for a small trucking company. My job was delivering frozen stuff to stores in different states. Most days were pretty much the same, but sometimes I had to take really long trips and stay overnight. One time, I had a super long delivery that would keep me out until late. After I finished unloading, it was already really late, around 1 a.m. I thought it would be a good idea to take a rest before driving all the way back. There was a sign for a truck stop about 40 miles ahead. When I drive on those quiet, dark roads at night, I often get lost in my thoughts. But this one time, I noticed something in my side mirror, lights from a car behind the trailer. I couldn't see the car itself, so I figured it was in my blind spot. I expected it to pass, but it stayed behind me. It made me nervous because if I needed to stop suddenly, being so close could cause problems. Luckily, The truck stop wasn't too far away, so I tried not to worry too much. I got to a place to take a break, and when I arrived, a car behind me slowed down and came into the parking lot too. I found it strange because I wasn't sure why they followed me. Maybe I accidentally got in their way earlier without noticing. The car parked very near to mine, too close for comfort. I thought I'd go talk to the driver, but as soon as I closed my door, they drove away quickly. It was an older man driving a worn-out white car that resembled an old police car. After I made sure everything was safe, I wanted to take a nap. It was 3 in the morning when I heard loud noises. I got scared and looked in the mirror on the side of the truck. I saw someone moving near the back of the truck. I had a small knife in the truck, so I took it and walked carefully towards the back. I peeked under the truck and saw someone very close to it. There was a car parked behind them with no lights on. It made me really scared. I called out to them, and they quickly got into their car and drove away fast. When I checked the back door, I saw scratches on the lock, like they were trying to break in. I left and checked if anyone was following me before going home. It felt spooky, and I couldn't stop thinking that someone might be following me on the road. The next few days were regular. I did my usual stuff, but I couldn't forget what happened at the rest stop. Whenever I drove, I felt worried and kept looking in my mirrors to see if a car was following me. A few weeks later, while I was delivering something far away, I felt worried again. It was dark, and I had this weird feeling that someone might be following me like last time. I kept seeing a car behind me in my mirror, but when I looked properly, it wasn't there. It made me feel uneasy. When I stopped at a rest area, I saw that same old white car parked nearby. I got really scared. Was it the same person as before? I parked carefully and stayed very aware of what was happening around me. I saw some movement behind my truck, and I got really nervous. This time, I decided to call the police for help. While I was talking to the person on the phone for help, I saw the older man from the other car coming closer. I felt nervous because I didn't know what might happen. But then, he called out to me.
Hey, excuse me. I'm sorry to disturb you, but are you going in the direction of the west?
I was surprised and confused. Yes, I am.
Could I come along? My car broke down a few miles back, and I've been trying to get a ride. I didn't mean to scare you earlier.
I felt so much better when I found out there was just a big mix-up. He told me about his car problems, and we called for help together. He was stuck and needed a ride. I got really worried for no reason. It was just a strange coincidence. I said sorry for thinking the wrong thing and said I'd stick around until the helpers came. We joked about it, and before long, the tow truck arrived for his car. After that, I figured out not to guess things too quickly and let my mind make up stories. I learned it's important not to let fear make me think bad things will happen. On my way home, I laughed about how a small misunderstanding turned into a really stressful situation.